Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Eye of Stone podcast. It is franchise Hump Day, and we are actually doing it on Hump Day for the first time.
2-3 weeks.
Yeah, it's been a while. Really excited for this episode. We're going to be tackling my personal favorite comic book character ever, and probably Demons as well, Batman.
I mean, I was thinking
And
Powerpuff Girls, but yeah, this works too.
hey, I'm down with Powerpuff Girls. Jojo. But specifically, we're going to tackle Matt Reeves' The Batman, which I have to say, I think this is probably the 11th or 12th time I've watched it.
Holy shit.
Abby asked me last night, and I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, I know I got at least to 10 or 9 or 10 when we first did this as a podcast episode. But I was going to say, every time I watch it, there's something about it. It grew, like, I was sold on it for the first time I watched it, but it just grows on me more and more and more. And I just really start to appreciate. It's like once I can get over the things that like shock me and I'm like, holy shit, I can start to really notice things in the background and appreciate just the way it's executed, from filming to acting and the score and Easter eggs. And it's just like, God, this movie is just awesome.
Yeah, I watched it again and I was like, I forgot how much I really do love this movie. Not that I forgot about the movie.
Oh, yeah,
but it's just like, I forgot about what the level that it's on.
It's honestly crazy that it exists.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into that. Let's go ahead and knock out our ratings.
Yes.
Man, it's like a 4.5. I was gonna say 5. It's not a 5, but it's also not a 4. So I guess 4.5.
Yeah, I'll probably go with the 4.5 this time around. I do remember I said a 5 the first time we did this a year and a half ago or whatever it's been now.
Yeah.
But I was able to really just like focus on stuff, and I was really trying to find something I didn't like, and for the most part I couldn't, but every now and then there's like just a little bit of dialogue where I'm like, oh, that's a little cringy. And the one that's coming to mind like right off the bat is when Gordon, I'm just going to jump right into it. Gordon, they're arresting complete spoilers as usual for those who might be new at this, but
oh yeah, spoiler alert.
Gordon's arresting I think it's when he's arresting the Riddler, and Martinez is like, let me see your hands, freeze, and he goes, freeze, dirtbag.
Oh yeah,
you piece of shit, or something. It's like the second part of that was just not necessary at all for him to say.
I have a thing with that though, because there's a lot of that. I think the first time we did this, I pointed out a couple lines like that are just kind of cheesy, and they feel like they'd be in a kid's cartoon, right?
Fucking
Well,
1960s.
Well, 1990s. Slow down there, Dino. But no, I was gonna say, like, I grew up on Batman the animated series.
Yes.
Like that defined the 90s for me pretty much. Like that show was amazing to grow up on.
Yeah.
Did you just have a stroke?
It's Matt's update.
Oh.
Yeah.
Should I not read it out loud?
No, not at all.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So
for anyone watching or listening, we were supposed to have Matt on here as well. We've decided just to keep him as a regular on the show because he's one of our dudes he's in our camp in general for anything creatively we do, and I think he's awesome on here. So
hey, he's great.
It's really cool to have him on here. But yeah, unfortunately, he's got something going on in his personal life, and he will not be able to get on here. So,
hold
on one second. I'm just gonna go ahead and respond really quick.
No, you're good.
Okay.
All right. Got a little intermission.
Yeah. I also just posted that we're live on Twitter. So.
Oh yes.
Okay. Gosh, where were we at? That just caught me off guard.
90s Batman grew up on the animated.
Yes. Okay. Well, what I was going to say is Matt Reeves, as he is also behind the new Caped Crusader series, that's very much in the style and the vein of Batman animated series.
Okay. Yeah.
Just the overall production of it and the
Mm.
feel of it. And also like the title of the Batman itself, like the text, the font is very similar to the style of Batman the animated series, like very long,
It is.
narrow
Yeah.
letters. Matt Reeves is a big fan of that like on it, just Batman animated series in itself. Like he is definitely a fan of. He's probably said that in interviews, but I can just assume that just from what I see.
Yeah.
And
playing into it with his live action a little bit.
with that being said, I honestly think that is him trying to kind of pay homage to that.
Yeah.
Because it is funny how the police in Gotham just have these like almost automated responses for things if you watch that show. And I don't know. So I kind of think he did that intentionally.
Okay.
Because if you think about the rest of the dialogue in this movie, it's very well thought out.
It is.
It all connects to something in one way or another, maybe things we haven't seen yet, but like it's very well thought out. So it's hard for me to believe that they would just be like, oh, you know what, right here, a cop's just gonna be like freeze, scumbag, or like I feel like it has to have a purpose.
Okay. No, that makes sense.
Because everything else in this movie has a purpose.
Yes.
So I'm like, I can't. So I'm with you. It is cringy, but I think it's paying homage
it makes sense
to the animated series specifically.
Yeah.
And
that makes sense.
And overall, like this movie, and this is the new thing that really hit me when I was watching it yesterday. It almost feels like every single shot could be a panel in a comic book.
Yeah.
And a lot of that has to do with everything, the set design and costumes, but also the lens has that really shallow depth of field. And so like everything in the background is almost always blurry, almost hard to distinguish. It's like you get enough detail to kind of guess, okay, that's probably a counter and what, comic books are like that. Like the illustrator will draw the main important details and then they'll have some wisps of lines or whatever in the background to kind of let you know, like, yeah, there might be a tree back here.
Yeah.
So like this whole movie feels like a comic book.
It does.
In my opinion. And yeah, so I don't know. Matt Reeves is just a freaking genius.
Yeah, mastermind.
I mean, just a genius.
But what's great about this is with the way this movie is and what he was going for, even if you try to take another director to bring this movie to life with the way it was filmed and everything, I don't think anybody else could have mastered that except for Reeves.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like I said, it's kind of crazy that this movie even exists.
Yeah.
So it came out in 2022. It was in production, I think, in like 2020, like during COVID, because it had to shut down for months and then pick back up filming. It made a lot of us nervous. Like, oh no, is this going to affect the film? Is Robert Pattinson going to lose the 2% of muscle he put on? So yeah, there was a lot of like, oh boy, and it already sucked just because it felt like the movie happening was like a miracle with everything happening in DC in general. DC films.
Yeah.
We had the Snyder Cut get released because they literally had nothing else.
Yeah.
And they were just like, let's get something out there, And so that happening was also a miracle. And I kind of put that with I remember when I first heard Matt Reeves wanted to make a Batman film. Mm-hmm. I thought it was going to be in the DC EU at the time, like I was sitting here thinking like, oh, okay, he's going to do the Ben Affleck. And I'm pretty sure that's how it got reported at first. Like he was going to do the Ben Affleck solo Batman film because Ben Affleck couldn't do everything like he was planning. Right. He just wanted to focus on acting the part out. He wanted someone else to direct. So it went from that to this guy's going to do his own thing. I'm like, there's no way they're going to put a budget toward that right now. Right. Like they're trying to figure out their extended universe shit. And they were at the time still slapping the like, oh shit button. We got to save what we've been building up on since 2017. Like, the Flash movie, that'll fix everything. Right. And then the Flash got delayed. It had reshoots and then it ended up just being a nice little bow to put away everything else. Like,
pretty much.
So it's just crazy that the movie exists. It really is. Yeah. And I can say this confidently now. It is my favorite version of Batman in a live action movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't say that the first time we talked about this film. I can say that now.
Yeah, no, my stance on that has not changed in the slightest.
Okay.
He has, and I mean, Leah's home. I heard someone at the door. I was confused. But yeah, I mean, I remember walking out from seeing that movie the first time. I was like, yeah, this is 100% my favorite Batman, and it hasn't changed in the slightest. Even with Ben Affleck's Batman growing on me, towards the end of him portraying him, it still didn't take over what Robert has done with his Batman.
Yeah, and I think the story kind of helps with that too, because when I first watched this, I was like, man, Bruce Wayne doesn't really exist in this movie. Like, he is just always Batman, even when he's not in costume. So he doesn't know how to be Bruce Wayne. And at first I was on the fence about that,
Really?
Yeah, because it's like when you saw Christopher Nolan's movies.
That's true.
I mean, dude, I think Christian Bale is probably one of the best Bruce Waynes, in my opinion.
Oh, he killed it. No, I agree. He played that playboy.
It was like there was just a switch that flipped, and he was able to really sell it. And
that's what I liked about this one, though, is he wasn't that way. He wasn't established as Bruce Wayne, because all he's been doing for the past 2 years, as he says in the beginning of the movie, is being Batman. That's who he is. And even the Riddler says that at the end is, we both know this is your true self. So he's more Batman than he is Bruce Wayne. And I remember us bringing this up before, where I feel like I'm remembering this correctly, where we agreed that he's going to, by the second film, he's going to learn how to be a little bit more Bruce Wayne than he is now, because he's not Bruce Wayne now. And even as Bruce, like you said, as Bruce Wayne, he's still Batman.
Well, and that's what's cool is, like, no one has ever tried to, like, other than comic books.
Yeah.
Nobody has ever tried to really dive into Bruce comes back to Gotham. He not only has to figure out, like, how he's going to do this thing where he's this vigilante, he has to figure out how to be himself.
Yeah.
And the vigilante comes a lot easier.
Yes.
Because he feels like that is his real self. So then he's like, how do I figure out this whole persona that I have to sell to everybody?
Right.
And I think that's brilliant. But that's what I'm saying is, like, Christopher Nolan did it best, but every Batman movie, Bruce Wayne has been charming. He's been, philanthropist and all this shit. Like, he's not some guy that's just hiding and sad and whatever. So I don't know. It was just cool to see that kind of take on him, and it makes sense.
Right.
It makes sense. Yeah. Like, why would he care about what anyone thinks when he's not out there doing his thing as Batman? Like, he's young, he's angry.
Yes.
He's got vengeance on the mind.
I was about to say that. And, vengeance.
Yeah. Hold on one second. My dogs are being bad. Stop. Gosh. All right.
But the way he was introduced is like, they made you as the audience feel the adrenaline and almost the fear of, like, where's he going to pop up? When's he going to pop up? And that first, like, beginning with at the grocery gas station store thing, convenience store, at the bank, under the overpass, the train station. Like, you didn't know where they're going to throw him in at until, like, pretty much as soon as he starts walking up. And the way they filmed that was just amazing. And they started at the ground and just really slowly introduced the entire suit to you right off the bat.
Yeah.
From him walking into scene, which was amazing.
It's also cool because it really sets your brain up for, here's how the general public views this guy right now.
Yeah.
The whole intro basically shows you Bruce Wayne, the Wanderer, where he's just walking amongst the people of, on Halloween night. And then it shows you the city. It shows you crime. It shows you police, what they're doing. They're calling for Batman.
Right.
And which is funny because, I mean, it's really essentially Gordon at the time.
Yeah.
But there's so much crime. It's obvious police aren't enough.
No.
Right. And the city, I said this on our first episode about this. It feels like you could get tetanus if you touch your TV screen. Like you touch your TV screen, you got tetanus.
Right.
It just feels so
dirty.
Uncomfortable and dirty and almost pointy because of the rain. It's so static and then the music, like the score, the violins are just. I don't know. Everything about
phenomenal.
It is one of the coolest intros to a world in general.
Yeah.
In a movie.
Absolutely.
It's brilliant. But they establish so much. And the main thing is, here's how people view Batman. He is this thing that could be in any dark corner. And just that alone can change somebody's mind from committing a crime or continue to commit a crime. And especially when they show them like acknowledging the bat symbol in the sky.
Oh shit.
Yeah. They're like, all right, he's out here. Someone's calling him.
Right.
Is it for me? Nobody knows.
And they stop really what they're doing.
Now,
like immediately.
I will say this gets into one of few gripes that I still have with the film. One of which is the reason I can't give it a 5-star. But this is small, and I just still can't make sense of it. So you got the gang, which everyone calls the Joker gang. I don't think that's accurate. I think it's just guys wearing face paint. Doing hoodlum shit. But essentially it looks like they like to go around and beat people up and film it.
Right.
Like that's their thing. That's their shtick. Yeah. So how does Batman know that they got off the train right there at that terminal and that everything that's happening is happening? I mean, where was he? Was he on top of the train the whole time? No, because we see the train. Was he in the train? No, because then everyone was saw Batman. I'm like, how did he know to specifically come out of that tunnel at the terminal other than the people filming it are like, this would be cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't really make sense to me.
They were live streaming all of that. At least that's what it looked like to me. So I feel like he saw that live stream, and it's like if we're out around where we live and like if the news is shooting something, you pretty much know where they're shooting at just by what's behind them. You get pretty familiar with your area. So the way I took that was he saw that, and because I mean it's the technology he has as a billionaire, and in the time period that movie's taking place, present day, pretty much, it's not hard for me to believe that he saw that video and was able to figure out where they were from there.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I haven't thought about that. I'm kind of okay with it. It still isn't like, I don't know.
But I feel like that's a scapegoat answer. Like, other than that, I have no other even idea of how, like, pretty much on the same page as you, other than that.
So here is the one thing I could come up with, and it kind of made me get over it. Because when I was watching it yesterday, I was just I'm like, well, how come I've watched this movie so many times and I can't figure this out? Well, you see that, like, red lit room that he's in. It looks like it's probably a bathroom or something.
Yeah.
And he's getting his gear on. So before that, we saw he's on the streets as the Wanderer. So we know he carries his shit in his backpack, and he's got some of it under the coat and whatever. Right. So I'm like, maybe it's just an off chance that he was in this basically abandoned part of this terminal where there's no foot traffic or anything. He's changing in the bathroom there.
Yeah.
And he comes out and there's some hoodlum shit going on.
I heard the dude yelling. That
because I'm like, where is he changing in that red lit scene? Like, he's not at his bat cave,
right,
which is a terminal also.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm like, that's the only thing I can make sense out of it. I was like, maybe he was just using this far off bathroom from heavy foot traffic and whatever. These guys get off here. I don't know.
Right place, right time kind of deal.
I'm way too hung up on it, and I know that. But I just, like I said, every time I watch this, I think, okay, I'm gonna notice something I didn't before.
Yeah.
And I will say this time is the first time I've thought of that. Like he just happened to be changing in this bathroom, and I'm like, okay, I can whatever. Movie convenience.
Yeah.
But it's not a big deal at all.
Right.
It's just me being super nitpicky. And it's also, like I said, there's so much attention to detail and everything. And I feel like we're not really given enough to piece that together.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of okay, whatever. But the intro is so cool. Like you said, the reveal of the suit.
Yeah.
And it almost sounds like there's spurs on his boots. Like there's like a little click every time he steps. And it just feels like he's heavy metal, you know?
Yes.
Like, I don't know. It's so cool. It's one of the coolest Batman reveals in a movie.
I agree. Absolutely.
I have to say, though, people have their gripes with this film, but Batman v Superman, when that cop is clearing the house where all those people are in the cage in the basement, and he's kind of panning around the room and the camera is like showing what's behind him, and you just see Batman in the corner like a creature.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
The first time I saw that in theaters, it gave me chills, like horror movie chills. Yeah. It made Batman feel like something otherworldly.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
And then he crawls across the ceiling, and I was like, whoa, what? Which I still wonder how he was able to do that.
Right.
But whatever. It was cool. So that is still my favorite introduction to a Batman in a movie. But this is right under that. I mean, right under it. So, yeah. But it is really cool. The music, everything. And then the one guy's like, who are you supposed to be? And he just fucking annihilates some like Arkham City style, like finishers, and there's bats flying around him and shit. And the dude's counting stars, and he's just like, "Oh, vengeance!" It's so cool. Yeah, that'll never not be cool.
No,
like since the first trailer, I've just thought that is so fucking cool. I love it.
I am curious to see, because there are people out there saying that one kid that didn't really want to be there, but for whatever reason was there, and they're like, yeah, kick him and beat his ass and this and that. If he's going to be like the Robin, if they decide to bring Robin into this.
So there were theories about that because he played one of the Robins in the Titans series.
Yeah, it was the who was it? It was Tim Drake.
I think it was Tim Drake. But I'm like, I don't think that's a reason they wouldn't do it in the Batman.
Yeah.
But I also feel like there might be something more going on than just, oh, that'll be my Robin.
Right.
I actually have a theory about who I think the Robin will be. And it's something a lot of people were speculating about, and I didn't agree with until this watch through. And it's because of something I noticed. So a lot of people thought that the mayor, his son, was going to be the Robin because there's a lot of attention given to him from Bruce Wayne and Batman. Because when he goes to the crime scene and he's leaving it, he's staring at him. But my argument used to be it's reminding him of himself when he was a kid. But that's also why Bruce Wayne takes in Robin.
Yeah.
Because so I'm like, but I just still wasn't being sold on like, oh, it just to me was kind of like giving him an emotional investment into what was happening.
Right.
Like that kid reminded him of him, and his dad was murdered, and Bruce's dad was murdered. So I don't know. But I don't know why I never caught on to this. And I haven't seen anyone else talk about this. So maybe I'll be the first. But in the beginning, which by the way, POV shots in this film, huge fucking fan. And it's almost every time the Riddler is stalking somebody. Yeah. It's so cool, man. But yeah, we got the binoculars and the
Darth Vader.
Yeah. And you're just like, okay, someone is stalking this guy. And we see the kid in a red kind of ninja-esque costume, because it's his Halloween costume. He's got a sword and he's just playing by himself. And his dad comes in and he acts like he kills him. Right? Well, right there in this watch through, I realized that he was kind of reminding me of Damian Wayne, who is trained by, Ra's al Ghul and all that. So I'm like, and that's the attire that they wear. Yeah. It's black, but I'm like, okay, they dress like ninjas, and it's red. I'm like, why would it be red? Oh, because Robin.
Red Hood. Oh, yeah.
I'm like, and it might be nothing. It might just be Matt Reeves, but I'm like, this dude puts thought into everything, and he specifically took a costume that would look like the League of Shadows, or however you want to call them, because I think that's Christopher Nolan's title for him. But either way, he's got that look, but it's not black, it's red. It's like, why would it be red? No, I don't know. Just
he could be foreshadowing.
Could be. And, Matt Reeves is doing things differently than the comic books. He is doing his own take on stuff with a lot of respect to the comics, which I like, because to me, it feels like I can go into this movie and not just be like, oh, it's either going to be like Long Halloween, or it's going to be like Dark Victory, or it's going to be like Ego. Like, no, it's going to be its own thing. It's Matt Reeves' thing. So, yeah, I don't know. I got really excited about that possibilities. I'm like, you know what? That kind of makes sense that he would pick somebody else and they wouldn't be like Tim Drake or whatever. Right. He might even do something where that kid, because we don't get that kid's name. The kid doesn't talk. We just see him. Might be even a thing where he was already adopted by the mayor.
Yeah, that's true.
And he is Tim Drake or whoever. So I don't know. Dick Grayson. I don't know, but it's interesting to think about.
It is.
Now, with the guy in the street gang, he's got the face paint.
Yeah.
And he's the only one with it halfway on. So it's like he's also kind of hinting at Two-Face, hinting at Joker.
But we know he's not going to be Joker.
No, but he's also just kind of, it's like blatant symbolism for he's not all the way in like the rest of them. So I don't know. There's a lot of ways you can look into that guy. We don't see him through the rest of the movie. It's pretty easy to forget about. So
yeah, he is.
Maybe. Who knows? Matt Reeves can do whatever he wants.
It'll be interesting to see what he does with the Penguin series and then the second movie, to see if he adds anything with that into it.
Yeah, well,
I don't think so, like with the Penguin series, but I mean, he could like hint towards this or that, or at the very end of it, kind of hint towards something.
I could see at the end of the Penguin series, which, guys, we're also going to talk about the Penguin at the end of this. It's a little spoiler discussion about the first episode, but I could see the season going in a direction that at the end, either he gets put in Arkham or he's not in Arkham, but he's needing outside help because both the families that he's, stuck between don't want to fuck with him. I could see a cameo from Riddler, or I'm really hoping for this. I kind of want a cameo from Jeffrey Wright as Gordon. I think that would be cool.
Yes.
And that could be like the little connecting piece between the show and the Batman movies.
Right.
At first I was like, it'd be stupid not to have a cameo from Robert Pattinson at some point, just as Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't really think, now that I've seen the first episode, I'm like, this doesn't need anything to connect to. Like, it is its own thing while feeling like it is an extension of the movie. Like, it has the same tone. A lot of the cinematography feels similar, which that's a good credit to whoever filmed it, because Greg Fraser did the Batman, and he's a freaking masterful cinematographer. So
yes, he is.
But yeah, the Penguin's awesome. I mean, I can't wait. There's actually a new episode coming out tonight, so I think it's probably already on. Or does it come out at midnight tonight? I don't know how it works.
It's midnight our time. Okay. I think.
So, yeah. I'll be watching that tomorrow. But yeah, I don't know. Really excited for the Penguin and what they're going to do. Anyways, back on topic. So yeah, with Robin, I don't really have any like strong feelings towards anybody,
No.
but I can say I can see why people were saying the mayor's son now. But I don't know. We'll see. Um, what are your thoughts on the bat suit now? Because I remember you weren't a big fan of it at first.
I absolutely love the bat suit. I like that it's stuff that every bit of it. I remember we brought this up before. Every bit of it is able to be used one way or another.
Well, you said you were a fan of Christian Bale's final bat suit.
Yes.
And you kind of wished it looked more in that vein. And
Yeah,
I disagreed with you because I wasn't a fan of that suit. It was too like detailed for me and almost unnecessarily detailed.
It was. I definitely changed my opinion with it. Like I think this suit is just phenomenal because I watched it this time and I was just like in love with the suit like right off the bat. And I like that it's very very tactical. Like but
It's tactical, it's practical.
yes.
It looks like it would be more comfortable than any other bat suit, even though he's wearing like metal plating.
Yeah. But it makes sense if you're going to be going up against people taking a baseball bat and smashing it across your back or your head or something. Like, there's thought into every bit of it, but it is also a very like I'm new at this, and this is what I had to work with to make this suit, which I like as well because there's room for it to breathe and kind of change a little.
Yeah, and he can turn his head without having to move all of his shoulders. And that was the one thing when they did the costume reveal, which coolest costume reveal ever. Just we're just gonna film it and put it on YouTube, whatever.
Right?
I mean, and you got a taste of the official Batman theme, which I loved it from jump. But now I'm just like, man, this might be like my favorite Batman theme. And that's saying a lot. It really is. Like that it's up against some stiff competition.
Yeah.
But I just like how I don't want to say plain it is, but I like that it's just heavily driven by like orchestral instruments.
Yeah.
And it's not like a Hans Zimmer what's his name? The guy that also does tracks with Hans Zimmer on Zack Snyder stuff. Something Junkie XL. Thank gosh. I almost forgot. But yeah, Junkie XL, Hans Zimmer, they get a little electronic-y, whatever. And that stuff's cool, but there's just something about it. And I love that it's like blended perfectly with Something in the Way by Nirvana.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. So yeah, I don't know. The costume reveal was cool though. Sorry, I'm getting off subject. But the one thing I didn't like was the collar on the cape. At first, I was like, man. And it's funny because everyone else was like, oh, the mask looks cheap. The mask looks like it's just got from a Spirit Halloween store or whatever. And I'm like, I was personally digging the mask because it kind of reminded me of like Catwoman in Batman Returns, how she had to like sew her mask together and everything. I was like, that makes sense. It's a guy making his own costume. But yeah, the collar bothered me. And
I feel like with the collar though, like it's practical because it's giving
it makes
extra
perfect
protection
sense
to his spine up here and like this area of the neck.
It makes perfect sense, but you know what else? And I had to read, dude, I read a really cool article about Matt Reeves and his thoughts just about his Batman and the things that inspired him. Sherlock Holmes is a big inspiration. I'm like, if you think about the coat, it's got that collar.
Yeah, it does.
And so I read that before watching the movie yesterday. I was like, dude, he does look like kind of like a dark gothic Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
He's walking around with his collar up. And I was like, okay, that's cool. Like, and I'm not saying the collar didn't grow on me before that, but just knowing that Matt Reeves draws inspiration from things like that.
Yeah, you can definitely see it.
Well, he said the two biggest inspirations for the costume, well, three. The first one's crazy. Vietnam.
Really?
Yeah, he said he did a lot of research into like what people would wear in very intense situations in combat. And he thought Vietnam War, you know, like what would you need to have on you to be a way to combat an injury, a wound, whatever. So he thought about that. He loves the Arkham video games and he likes the costume with all the plating on it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the second thing. And then I just lost my train of thought on what the third one was. Vietnam, Arkham games. I'm trying to remember what the third one was. I can't remember now. Well, either way, that sucks. I should have made a note of this. I forgot. I had it on the tip of my brain. I almost forgot the Vietnam thing, and now I can't remember the other part. But yeah, either way, it's cool that he's drawing inspiration for his costume design from stuff like that. And he's not just thinking like, what would Batman look like? It's like, what are things that would make sense? You know, like the Vietnam War thing's cool because that shows like he was planning on making a Batman that's going to be in the shit, and he needs to have things on him, which we see that could combat an injury or get him juiced up to do something crazy. And okay, if he has to apply this, he needs to have a port in his pants to which he can do that. And yeah, so the camera's falling over. But yeah. I'm gonna let you talk. I'm gonna look up what the third thing is. That's gonna drive me crazy. I'm gonna find that article.
Talk about Tim Drake.
I say if you want. What do you think about? Because I have a lot to say about this. What do you think about how he's presented in this grounded take of Gotham?
Yes. I was thinking about that a little bit ago. Completely forgot. See, I like that because it makes it more relatable in a sense. Not that we're all billionaires who can, make this suit or get this car the way that he has it. But it is very relatable in the sense that if we did happen to have that money and, it could be a possibility of happening. The car is a normal car that he worked on for years, which the Batman book that talks about him as a kid growing up and experimenting with drag racing and stuff like that. Like this Bruce Wayne worked on this same car for years to get it to where it's at now. I think it being grounded is what really makes this movie, because it makes you feel like, yeah, this could be a possibility in another world. I feel like if it's too fictional, it can lose certain audiences. But with it being as ground, I mean, our second date, I took her to go see this movie for my second time seeing it a few days after we saw it.
I forgot about
that. And even she said it was a good movie. It's not her cup of tea, but she said it was a good movie. So you're able to capture other audiences that most of the time you wouldn't be able to capture if it was very fictional.
Yeah.
But I think it being like this is just perfect. And it really... it adds to the feel of the movie in itself. It adds to the kind of Batman that we're getting for it to be as grounded as it is, because you can still see the pain, you can still see the hurt, you can relate to this Batman a little bit more than you could other Batmans in the past.
Yeah. I was gonna say this is something Jordan actually mentioned the first time we talked about this film, and that was nice to have Jordan's perspective on this, because unlike us, Jordan is just a regular moviegoer. He definitely represented the general audience for a film like this. And it was funny to hear him say, like, I'm watching this crime scene where there's police and detectives and you got forensics. And he's like, and then there's just this guy dressed in some weird bat costume. And he's like, okay, what are you doing? And he said, then I felt validated because everybody else is like, what is this guy doing? This is really awkward and weird. And I appreciate about this movie because I can't say like other movies don't show that to a degree,
Right.
but you feel it in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, you literally feel everyone's like uncomfortability with the
Yeah.
situation, with him being present. And it's not just that he's there, it's what he's wearing. It's like,
Yeah.
what is wrong with you, dude? Why are you wearing this?
Yeah.
And it's funny, like when I watched it yesterday, I was kind of watching it in that light of like, okay, him and Jim Gordon are in this parking garage. One's dressed like a normal guy. One is dressed like a bat.
One's a detective, one's a bat.
It's like you really couldn't just show up with a ski mask on.
Right.
Like you have to have pointy ears, and I can't make fun of it because Batman's my favorite thing ever. But
Right.
it is funny to look at these things in that perspective.
Yes.
But what's cool is this movie, as Jordan pointed out, does the same thing.
Yeah.
It's really examining if somebody did this in a somewhat similar reality to our real life, how would it be, reciprocated? How would the media sell it? How would people look at it in general? How would police handle it? And I think this movie does a great job. I think it'd be very similar if someone did that in our reality,
Yeah. I mean, Martinez is pretty much how it'd be in real life in the first crime scene at the mayor's house, where he's like, you can't be here. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And Batman just like looks at him, and he's still standing his ground, which is crazy because like a dude like that walking in just gave me that look. I'd be like, you know what? This is your crime scene. You're OIC right now.
Yeah.
And Gordon's like, Martinez, he's with me. And he's still hesitant. Like, you shouldn't be doing this. You should not allow him to be here. We all know he should not be here. And everybody, even like you said, like even the forensic techs are like, you shouldn't be here. And then the commissioner's there, and he's like, he is what everybody would be like, where he's popping off at him. Like anybody high up in a department would be like, get him out of here now. This is completely inappropriate. He shouldn't be here. He's not a cop. Like he's tampering the crime scene just by being here, and who knows if he's involved or not. It's very grounded and very relatable.
Yeah, and what's brilliant is everyone thinks he's ridiculous. They don't want him there, except for Gordon. And that's cool because it's like, okay, he's on year 2. We learned that from the dialogue. And if you're like us, we read the book that they put out before the movie, which is cool because it's not needed information, but it definitely gives you a better insight on the character that we're getting. Like this iteration of Batman is completely different, than others we've seen in live action. He didn't go get trained or like he did, but he got trained in all these different martial arts. He probably just went to a normal school. And he also had Alfred train him in combat. And he went to prestigious colleges and he studied all over the globe. And he also did street racing. Like, just it's cool to know all this stuff prior to the movie because it explains, okay, this is why he's so fucking smart. This is why he's so good at combat. Later, when we see him drive, it's like, this is why he's so good at driving a really fast car. It's just like this guy is prepared. And obviously him and Gordon have this, chemistry or dynamic where because I'm sure if we saw like Batman Year 1 in this universe, it would be like the animated movie where like all of the police are out looking for him, which is how it would be in our life, right? Like it would be all over the news, like manhunt for this weirdo in a bat costume.
Stay inside, armed and dangerous.
Yeah. And I feel like that probably happened at one point.
Absolutely.
And it's still kind of simmering, but things are cooling off from that point. You got people like Gordon, who at one point in the movie, he literally tells Batman, "You're the only person I can trust," which that blows my mind. I don't know why that didn't hit me any of the other times I watch this, but when he said that, I was like, damn, dude. Like, that really just establishes the corruption in which we'll get into that. But yeah, I love how this movie basically like relates to you and how you would view someone like that in your own life.
Yeah.
Like every character you see, any interaction he has is awkward. And what's funny is even he's awkward. Like that crime scene at the mayor's house. It's like the forensic analyst is trying to like get to another side of the chair to swap or whatever, and he's just like, excuse me, and like Batman like barely moves out of the way, but he's looking at him like, ugh. And he just kind of steps back a little bit. Like, I don't know. His movement's so awkward. Like, he looks uncomfortable to be around other people.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell if he had found the crime scene first, he'd be all over it. He'd be more efficient. He'd be fine. I don't know. So, and it's cool that Gordon knows that.
Yeah.
Like, he has this trust in him.
But what's perfect about that is like that contact that he wears that's recording everything he's seeing.
So
like
cool.
He talks
so
about
cool.
forcing himself to rewatch everything he went through that night. But it's so beneficial to that crime scene because he's still able to put things together that he may have not really picked up on or noticed.
Yeah.
In the middle of it.
Which is wild to think about because he says like he's been out for 2 years. He's pretty much been out every night, probably doing this. And he's like, the nights start to run together. Things are a blur. Like, I can't imagine. Like, I can't remember what I did at work 2 weeks ago. Right. And that is his job. Yes. Like, this guy doesn't care about anything with Wayne Industries or any charities or he is just this Batman 24/7. And I think that's why I love it so much. Like, I'm really learning to appreciate that about this film.
Yeah.
And like his Bruce Wayne scenes, I'm starting to like more because of that. Because I do feel like we're going to get a more Bruce Wayne-esque Bruce Wayne eventually, you know, like it'll start to turn around. But this movie is about establishing him as a hero.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool because it does make you question, like, what is the threshold of vigilante hero?
Yeah.
Because in the beginning, it's like, oh, yeah, he's a freaking bloodthirsty vigilante. And he definitely kills people in this movie. There's a lot of people that debate that.
No, he's killing people.
You just have to watch the car chase scene.
Yeah.
There is a ungodly explosion that I don't even know why it happens or why it takes him so long to go up that little ramp on the back of the semi truck. But it's just like, and Penguin's like, I got you. And then he just goes, it's like, what the fuck? But it's like, how many people do you think died right there? Like, not only in the explosion, think about they're on a highway. Everyone's going at least 65 miles per hour. All those cars are plowing into this explosion. The cars behind them. It's probably like a 30-car pileup. It's a lot of dead people.
It really is. I mean,
and the funny thing is,
you don't. First scene though, when he's punching the shit out of that guy,
there's no way that dude lived.
No way.
Fucking way. No way.
1, there's no squad nearby. 2, I guarantee you they didn't call a squad. They left him there. And 3, he probably has so much internal bleeding that is coming out of every open hole.
Oh, because they don't show it, but those are face punches.
100%.
Like, his face was mashed potatoes after that.
Literally. Like, he did not pull his punch at all.
Because he's the only one that doesn't run away.
Yeah, no. Not at all.
You know what I mean? Like, he's dead. I'm sorry. He's dead.
He is. And even like Gordon's like, when Gordon gets hit by him, he's like, you could have pulled your punch. And he's like, I did. And that just shows like the strength that he has with his punches. If he's not pulling his punches, he's killing that person that he hit.
And not only that, but he's probably got at least 5 pounds of plating on his fist.
Yeah.
So, that guy was dead. Like, I just think it's funny because, you know, there's that side of the fandom with DC films specifically that are like, oh, Batman doesn't kill. Fuck this Batman. And there's people saying that this one doesn't kill. And I'm just like, yes, he does.
You're wrong. You're in denial.
Yes, he does.
I will die on that hill.
Most Batmen in cartoon or in live action have killed at some point.
He is a very dark character. DC in general is very dark, but he especially is a very dark character with a lot of trauma, and he takes it out on the people he goes up against. Even Ben Affleck's Batman was killing a lot of fucking people.
Oh, yeah. No. Well, that's why a lot of people say they don't like Zack Snyder's Batman. But then they're okay with this Batman because he doesn't kill. It's like, no, he fucking kills.
I'm pretty sure he kills more than...
Yeah, you just don't like Zack Snyder, and that's fine. There's like there's gonna be people that don't like, or they already don't like James Gunn, so they're not gonna like his Superman movie. Even though I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm getting more and more excited the more I see.
Yes.
Maybe mainly just from Core and Sweat. I wasn't aware of him.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good actor. He's a good actor. He's Superman.
Oh, is that
Dave and Core and Sweat? Yeah. He's a good actor. He definitely has the Superman look.
Oh
And
yeah.
and I think after some post VFX, I think that Superman suit is going to look pretty badass.
Yeah.
Just my opinion. So yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for that film. I really am. But anyways, so yeah, the whole Batman doesn't kill thing. That's a tireless,
Wrong.
like it's a never ending debate. But it's
It's
like
wrong.
he does. He
Like,
kills in the comics. He kills in the movies. He
yes.
kills in the cartoons. Like he just
Like,
kills.
you are objectively wrong.
Yeah.
100%.
Now Batman's stance on guns varies depending on comics, movies. Sure.
Yeah.
But people die when Batman is doing things to them. It happens. It happens, especially when he's young and angry.
Yes.
So
Prime
yeah,
example right here.
yeah. Um,
I
but
just
I wanted to touch back on the whole inspiration for the costume. So
yes.
I figured it out. I was confused. I listed the two things that inspire the costume directly. The third thing is what inspired the look when he's not in costume, but he's not Bruce Wayne. So like when he's
The shadow version.
yeah, like when he's got the face paint on his eyes and he's got the wrap on his hands.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Reeves said for one, he thought it'd be cool to see the hot mess that you would be when you're in this costume doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
Which he's got a point. Like any other Batman movie, they take it off, their hair's perfect.
Yeah.
They don't have the black eye paint.
It just magically goes back to
Yeah.
normal.
And it's like, okay, that's cool. But I like that we see that.
Yes.
And
again, it goes back to it being way more realistic.
yeah, but the hand wrap is specifically from like a boxer.
Okay,
So,
yeah, that makes sense.
And you can tell from how he throws his punches that there's some boxing training,
Yeah.
probably from Alfred.
Yeah, that's one thing. Like, so the Gotham TV show, they kind of played into that there as well, where Alfred trains Bruce Wayne. Like growing up, he trained him how to fight and stuff like that. So, not to really side away from this Batman, but I feel like it makes sense, and I like in the Gotham show where we find out why Alfred's able to fight, and I really like that, and I feel like it's very similar to this Alfred in this movie.
Yeah, no, I agree. How do you feel about Alfred in this movie?
So I wasn't necessarily sold on him when we first watched it. But again, that's growing up with Christian Bale's Batman.
Well, Michael Caine was the freaking great.
Yes.
Great.
So
I mean,
it kind of made it difficult, but over time with this Alfred, I really do like. Because one, he's like a father figure to Bruce.
yes.
Even though Bruce doesn't want that. And he even says, like, you're not my father. No, true, but he's pretty much raised you since you were a child. So he really plays that father figure that took the mantle in an unfortunate circumstance. And he did his best. And you can see how damaged he is from losing some of his closest friends and trying to raise their kid to make him into the best possible person. Yeah, training him how to be a vigilante. I mean, at the end of the day, yes, Bruce did a lot of that on his own, but him teaching him how to fight from the beginning kind of played into that a lot, and pushed him towards that. And the way I see it, I could be way wrong with how other people see it, but the way I see it, he kind of nudged him towards that way.
Yeah, I think because he says like something about training him, and my thing at first was I didn't feel like he was really an Alfred.
Yeah.
He seemed more like a guy that was just a foster parent almost,
Yes.
like but I gotta say, the more I watch it, I'm still whatever. Like Andy Serkis is a great actor, and I think part of the problem is he doesn't have a lot of screen time in this movie to show like those Alfred moments. But sure, he looks the part and whatever, and you can call him Alfred, but I don't get that like Alfred
I
feel
agree.
from him in this film. And I'm excited to see more of it because I do like scenes, for example, where Bruce comes wandering in wearing like a band t-shirt or whatever, and he puts sunglasses on because he looks at the sunlight. He's like,
Like,
oh,
fuck the
yeah.
sunlight.
And it's just like, this dude is a creature.
Yes.
And he's like, you need to be presentable. We got people coming. And he just doesn't care. But
Yeah.
like, it kind of shows like he has been that character, which Alfred is for
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne. And he also, the one very Alfred moment is when he's getting ready for the funeral.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, where are your cufflinks? And he's like, oh, I don't know. He's like, he doesn't care.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, here, you can have mine. And he gives them the cufflinks, and they're Wayne cufflinks. They were his Wayne's or his dad's cufflinks.
Right.
And, you know, Bruce says some snarky comment like, oh, were you a Wayne?
Yeah.
You know, like, and he's like, I mean, basically, yes, you know, but it kind of shows that he views him as this almost outsider still.
Yes.
And that is an Alfred thing because Alfred feels like he is Bruce's dad.
Yeah.
And so that was very Alfred. The wanting him to sell that he's Bruce Wayne in public, because that's something Michael Caine would do, you know, like he does do that for Christian Bale. So that, and then the comment about like, are you a Wayne?
Yeah.
And the way he responded to that, I just was like, okay, that was a very Alfred moment.
It was.
But everything else, I'm just like, he's just a guy. I don't know.
I feel like it's more realistic, though. Going back to it being a very grounded movie. If your parents are killed and your butler is raising you, he's not going to feel like a butler. He's going to feel like you said, like a foster parent. Like that is who he is to this Bruce Wayne, and it makes a lot more sense than him just being your butler. And I agree with everything you said, where he does have those Alfred moments, but other than like those tiny moments and the name, he I mean, like we said, he feels more like a father than your butler. But I like that, and it's really grown on me the last couple of times I've seen this movie. I really like this version of Alfred.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And the thing I was going to say is, I think the biggest thing, other than he doesn't have a lot of screen time, is there isn't, at least aesthetically, it doesn't appear that there is as much of an age difference between him and Bruce as other iterations of Alfred and Bruce Wayne. Like, you look at Michael Caine versus Christian Bale, Jeremy Irons versus Ben Affleck, and so on and so on. I can't remember his name, but the guy that played Alfred for Batman Forever, Batman and Robin.
Oh yeah, very big age gap.
Yeah, and that's like what I'm saying.
50,
like, I'm
60 years.
And then even in the animated series, he's always got the white hair.
Yeah.
Like, even in the film, the Phantasm, when he's like a young Bruce Wayne, he's wearing a ski mask and still figuring out how to do this vigilante thing.
Yeah. Alfred
has darker hair, but he looks old still. Yeah. Like, I don't know. It's just.
But that's the thing. Like, even with the Gotham TV series, it makes sense for that age gap not to be 50 years apart and for it to be more like 20-ish, 20, 30 years. If they're training them how to fight, they're not going to be able to do that if they're pushing 70 when he's early 20s, late teens. So it makes sense with what they're setting up in this. And I like that.
Well, I was going to say, I'm obviously just excited for more Alfred, but I think we're going to get retribution in this movie. He gets domed.
Yes.
But for those who haven't read the book or anything like that, because there's some history on Bruce in the Riddler comic books too that are canon to this. People aren't going to be privy to the fact that this Alfred can kick some ass.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I like. Like, he in this movie looks like he could handle some shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
For one, he's got the Brad Pitt haircut from Fury, you know, and he doesn't look like he looks like he's agile. Like, he can get around easily, and he's probably fit, you know, like, we don't know, but
he's wearing that fucking 6-piece or whatever.
I could see at one point in the next movie or the third movie, because they have confirmed they're going to finish the trilogy. Yes. Somebody breaks to the estate.
Wayne Man, or
yeah,
not Manor,
but somebody breaks in or something, and he has to handle some shit.
Yeah.
I can't wait. And, I've even told around the idea that we might not get a Robin in this trilogy, which I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
So maybe Alfred has to show up and help him, very similar to like the Gotham series.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities. But I can't wait to see more of him as Alfred.
Yeah, I feel like the second movie is going to really show us like where it's going to go and what else we're going to see, a lot more than this one did.
Yeah, and this actually kind of segues into something I wanted to talk about because it's funny, but it really sells that they were going for more of a comic book feel with this movie rather than worrying about the realism of certain aspects. So, because I would say this is a very grounded Batman film. But there are some things that aren't grounded. Like there are some things where he's not afraid to get a little fantastical.
Right.
Like when he jumps off the building, running away from the police in Gotham PD.
Yes.
The way he smacks that freaking overpass.
Oh, God.
I don't care what you're wearing. You should have been dead.
Yeah. Yeah. That was really painful just watching.
Yeah, but that scene's really cool and awesome, and I can't wait for him to like get that down pat to where he can glide between buildings or whatever.
Well, something I noticed in this watch, I'm glad you brought this up because I've been thinking about this the whole time. He leaped out of the top of the PD and smacks into that. And then you notice towards the end of the movie, instead of just jumping and gliding again, he just grapples onto the wall or whatever and he goes down that way. Like, yeah, fuck that. That shit hurt.
Yeah, he learns as he goes. Well, so what I was going to say with the fantastical stuff, because like I said, it is very grounded. When Alfred is in the hospital, we really get a taste of like unrealistic lighting because in the room, I've unfortunately had a lot of experience with hospitals. Right. In a hospital room, you can dim the lights to look pretty much dead on how that scene looks. So I'm like, okay, I'm fine with that. When Bruce is in the hallway talking to the nurse, that hospital should look like freaking, I don't know, like a used car lot in the middle of the ghetto at night. Like it should be lit up like Christmas.
Yes.
And it's not. It is dark. There's like a weird ominous light casting on them to create these weird shadows. You know what I mean? And I'm like, what kind of hospital is this? Like,
no, like that's very accurate.
The freaking dark, dreary church at a funeral is more lit up than the hospital, like I'm like, no.
It's very Gotham of them, though.
Well, it's Gotham, but it's also just the comic books. Like the comics will literally show a hospital and they'll have like some green tent and there's barely any lights. And so it's just proof that he's really trying to make it feel more comic book. And a lot of the colors, the saturation, like oranges and reds, especially if the sunset, sunrise.
Yeah.
It's just like, wow,
Comic book.
Which, by the way, they use that, what's that freaking screen called that they use for the Mandalorian? I can't remember, but they use that for where they meet at the top of that building, like where the bat signal is.
Yes.
I can't remember what that's called. The
stagecraft. No. The stagecraft or LED volume.
The volume. That's what I knew. It started with a V. The volume. Okay. Yeah, I think the movie really utilized that well.
Yes.
Because I'm pretty sure it's only used for those shots. And it just paints a nice background. It's not like Mandalorian or I'm trying to remember the other show that used it a lot besides Star Wars. I think all the Star Wars Disney Plus shows used it excessively. But they do a lot of like motion things or action scenes with it. And that's where it gets a little messy for me and it doesn't look real. Like you can tell they're in front of a screen.
Yeah.
And this movie used it perfectly. It's just a nice backdrop. It's casting that light on their clothing, their armor, whatever. So it looks like, oh yeah, the sun is setting and there's that orange glow. And it makes for really beautiful shots in the movie. And I'm pretty sure the Penguin uses it too, because there's some shots in the first episode of the Penguin that looked exactly the same. So
yeah,
they utilize that very well, and I respect that they're not just going crazy like, oh fuck realistic sets, we'll just use the volume screen for everything, and so
they use it appropriately.
Exactly. But yeah, so the hospital lighting scene I just thought was funny. I've always thought about that, and I don't think I've ever remarked on it, so I wanted to mention it.
I never even considered that.
Now, something I didn't talk about in the first time we did this, and guys, just so you know, when we say the first time we did this, our very first episode of the podcast was on the Batman. Like, it was a historical episode. It was a historical episode. We had all of us sitting down talking about it. It was really cool. And then, you know, one fucktard ruins it for everybody, and we had to get rid of the whole episode. So that's why we're doing this now. And we're kind of skimming over it because we did want to talk about the Penguin as well. And we're just kind of recapping our thoughts on the movie. So that's why we keep saying when we talked about this before, because there was a whole like 3-hour episode we did on this
where we broke down every scene.
Yeah, we broke down every scene. I went over all these Easter eggs, and but that's what I was going to get into. The first time that we did this, I knew that they were trying to hint at possible other Rogues Gallery villains with the cards that the Riddler leaves for the Batman at crime scenes.
Yeah. Yep.
I was able to pick up what 2 of them were, and the other ones, whether it was due to like I couldn't really see it that well, or it was just a vague card in general, I couldn't figure out until now. I have some theories. So the first card is the Owl, which obviously that's Court of Owls. A lot of people think Court of Owls will be a big part of the second movie. I think it's going to be a big part of the third movie. I think the second movie is going to introduce some more villains, some more corruption. We'll hint more at an overall cult or something that's running things. And I think the third movie is going to be like a climax of Court of Owls, craziness, whatever. So first card is the Owl. The second card is the Mad Scientist, which obviously Hugo Strange. Which I'm excited for that. Whoever they cast for that, that would be a cool character if that happens. And it's possible. That's a grounded character. Now here's where I fell off. There's a girl on a card, and I couldn't tell either of these things until I really examined it. She's in green and she's holding a flower. Poison Ivy. Yep. The next one is Eyeballs. And it's a green card. And I'm like, is that supposed to be the Riddler's eyes? Well, I started thinking about, okay, what are the Batman villains, you know? And I thought about Mad Hatter and how that could be very possible in this grounded Batverse. And Mad Hatter's from Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
Alice in Wonderland has the Cheshire Cat. Sometimes you can only see his eyeballs.
Yeah.
That might be reaching, but I was like, you know what? That's the only thing I could come up with.
Yeah, that's definitely reaching.
It is.
I won't say one way or another. I mean, I like that idea. I think it'd be cool, but
I just feel like every card is pointing towards a villain.
I agree.
And that one had to be something. I just couldn't. I'm like, dude, I've read almost every Batman comic. I've seen every Batman movie, animated or live action.
Yeah.
I have a Batman Bible, basically, that I've pretty much read front to back. I'm like, I just can't think of who that would be, you know, just as is. Like a green card with yellow eyeballs. And I'm just like, I don't know. I really couldn't come up with anything. I couldn't come up with anything the first time. And like I said, I had to really reach, but I was like, okay, Mad Hatter. Mad Hatter's also in Alice in Wonderland. I don't know. Now, this is my favorite one because it kind of confirms something I did bring up the first time we talked about this movie. So, you know, Wanderer Bruce Wayne walking through the streets of Gotham on Halloween night. passing all these costume characters.
Yeah.
One of the first ones he walks by, who doesn't seem as dressed up purposefully as everyone else, is a guy in a black hoodie. He almost looks just like Bruce Wayne. He looks like a street wanderer, but he's holding up a puppet, and he walks by him, and he kind of looks at Bruce with this really like dark stare almost.
Yeah.
And I originally thought that was like a nod to the ventriloquist with Scarface. Right. And now I think it's really what was going on, because the last card is a boy with a puppet.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I didn't connect that until this last watch through. But I was like, oh, wait, duh. It's literally nodding toward the thing I'm already thinking is being nodded toward in the beginning of the movie. So, yeah. I felt dumb about that one. But so, yeah, I think other than the Cheshire Cat, that one's a stretch.
Yeah.
I think we've
got them all. Pretty narrow, though.
Got them all locked in now. Yeah. So, anyways, I'm excited for all those. I don't see Poison Ivy personally, unless it's like a fresh take. Because if he's gonna do a grounded take on these characters, like that's a tough one. And so is Mr. Freeze. I'm kind of getting tired of everyone being like, "Oh, winter's coming. That means Freeze is gonna be the bad guy." I'm like, just because it's snowing out doesn't mean like it's fucking December.
Yeah,
it snows. Like I want somebody else. We've had Mr. Freeze. I don't think there's a way to ground that. I really don't.
No, I mean,
like even modern day science doesn't have a freeze gun.
No.
Or a way for someone to live at negative 30 degrees in a suit. You know, I don't know. It doesn't work for me. I don't really get excited about that because I'm like, if Matt Reeves really comes up with some grounded version of it, it's going to be completely different than the Mr. Freeze we want. You know, so they can save that for the DCU. James Gunn has pretty much confirmed that Batman Brave and the Bold probably will get a new title, but that's going to be fantastical. That's going to be Batman straight out of the comic books. Cool. Give me all that crazy shit. But now I want serial killers.
Yeah.
I want serial killers. I want like the original version of sorry, I'm drawing it. Man, I'm really having some brain farts today. Clayface. Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank you, me, for remembering this. Clayface. The original member of Clayface wore other people's faces.
Really?
Yeah. And then it turned into this other thing in the animated series. Like literally the cartoons changed Clayface.
Interesting.
I'm almost 100% sure on that. Like maybe I skipped some comic books somewhere before the animated series.
Yeah.
I feel like I've read a lot of them, but Clayface used to be this guy that wore other people's face. So I'm like, can you imagine in Matt Reeves' universe, there's a serial killer that literally wears other people's face?
That would be terrifying. That is very Ed Gein.
I want it. Well, here's the other thing.
But it makes sense because Riddler, I am taking this, Kyle. You let me say it.
I knew
Riddler is very Zodiac.
Like how we're fucking like we're in person.
Riddler Zodiac. Clayface is could be easily, based off of that, easily Ed Gein.
Well, yeah, because Matt Reeves confirmed in the same article that I read, he is a fan, because there's not really a better way to word it, of the Zodiac.
Yeah.
And just the overall mythos about like who was it?
Oh my God.
And the attire. And he said the attire was heavily inspired by Zodiac.
Well, you can see that so clearly in just the one, like just a still shot of the Riddler. You can see the Zodiac in it.
Well, like even the glasses outside the mask, the Zodiac did that.
Oh
a lot of reports of Zodiac, he was wearing glasses outside of his fucking mask.
I'm going to go down a rabbit hole. We need to stop mentioning Zodiac.
Let's go.
So,
no, wait, do we have time for that? No, we don't.
Yeah. No, we're going to have to save that for a Deer Stalker episode.
All right. Well, we got to do those. We got to make sure we go over all of our key points here because
I knew we were going to glancing off.
I knew we were going to start running out of time. Okay. I got to remark on the investigation tactics because we, to this point in 2022, have not had a Batman that goes to crime scenes and investigates every one of them.
You don't see him as the detective.
We get a little bit of that in The Dark Knight when he goes to that apartment. Or no, sorry, it's in Batman Begins. He goes to that apartment. Or no, that is The Dark Knight when he gets the bullet hole out of the wall.
Yeah, that's Dark Knight.
It is The Dark Knight. Yeah. Okay. I'm thinking of when he goes to the apartment and Scarecrow's there and he gets caught on fire and whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
And Batman. Yeah. 2 different apartments, 2 different things. Okay. Anyways, that's it though. There's no other like investigating, doing like how he figured out the bullet, and that really didn't make sense to me, but it was still cool to see like Bruce Wayne doing this shit.
Yes.
Right. But this movie just gives you that full load of like, he is a detective first.
Yeah.
Like he is this crazy vigilante, but he also has the composure to just be a detective, which is really weird, but awesome. It makes this character feel very unique.
Yeah. And it really plays into his intelligence, but it also really goes back to Alfred, because Alfred's also helping him investigate stuff, which is really cool to see.
Yeah. Well, I just really appreciate that throughout this movie, and I have to remark on it. We don't have to really go into it too much, but it's just really cool that we finally get a Batman who is a detective.
Yes.
Like Detective Comics, DC.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. That is the OG intention of this character. So,
but you saw the realistic aspect of that, where he originally missed a very key part that happens at the end until he goes and he's talking to the Riddler, and then he figures out and then with Martina's help at the end, where he's like, oh yeah, my uncle or cousin or whatever laid carpet, that's what this is. And he's like, holy shit, I need to rip the carpet up.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to see that, like, you get the cops helping him notice things.
That's another thing. I didn't add this in our notes, but I will talk about this. This movie shows he is still not fully established.
Yes.
He still makes mistakes. He's still learning, like the glide scene. He hits the overpass. And then, like you said, we see what he learned later in the movie. Like, I ain't doing that again.
Yeah.
Well, like, trying to remember the one thing that when he basically figures out that Falcone is the rat.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, let's go bring him out in the light. Like when Gordon says, what are we going to do? He's like, let's go bring him out in the light. Like he didn't realize that he was literally doing exactly what Riddler wanted him to do. And I feel like a more tenured Batman wouldn't make that kind of mistake. Wouldn't make that kind of mistake. Because it's like, okay, you have a guy who's literally established, I'm taking out corrupt people.
Yeah.
You figure out this is the corrupt person he keeps talking about, and then you bring him outside.
Yeah.
So, mistake, but you know.
Well, everybody talks about how Tony Stark learns from his mistakes in every single situation in the movie and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This Batman is doing the exact same thing. He's learning from every single mistake, and he's learning from it very quickly. And in the same movie, multiple mistakes, and he's figuring out a way not to make those same mistakes.
Yeah. Well, one thing I'm going to talk about real quickly, and then our last point on this, we'll go right into the Penguin series. But I said earlier, Batman, vigilante, or hero.
Yeah.
This movie ends showing him as a hero. And I don't think any Batman movie has effectively done that. Every Batman movie shows him literally serving his own cause.
Yeah.
And that is just a fact. Like literally every Batman movie sets up, here's what's happening. Here's what he has to do to save this person he's dating or the greater good of the city. But he's not like, oh, here's people that fell in this water and they can't see. Yeah. Let me light a flare and save them.
Well, not just that. Every single one of those individuals in the water would have died if he didn't take out his bat symbol and cut that electrical line. That was going to absolutely kill every single one as soon as it touched that water.
Yeah.
He made that I can't even say he made the ultimate sacrifice, but he was willing to make that ultimate sacrifice knowing like, I'm probably not going to live through this.
Yeah, which that's a hero.
Yeah, exactly. Very hero.
And that's what's cool is like Batman's always just a vigilante.
Yeah.
But it's like he's doing some hero shit.
Yeah.
And he needs to get credit for it. And this Batman, I didn't expect would do that in this film, and he does. And it shows like, okay, this movie is about him growing as Batman. The next movie will probably be him growing as Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
So that'll be very entertaining. Because I am a fan of the emo. I don't like people like real quick when he pulls up to the funeral and he gets out of the car and all the oh my god, it's Bruce Wayne. He's just like, he just scowls. I love that. He's just disgusted.
Do you think that Gordon is kind of wondering if Bruce Wayne is Batman just by the way he looked at him at the funeral? Like, I recognize you more than just this. But it also could be like he's disgusted with Bruce Wayne.
Well, here's my thing. I think this is intentional. These key figures, when they see Bruce Wayne, there has to be something that lets you know as the viewer it's rare to see him.
Yeah.
And I think that's all it was. Because, like, what's her name that's running for mayor?
Yeah.
Yeah. She literally, like, sees him at the funeral and she's like, I've been trying to reach you, blah, blah, blah. And basically says all this stuff that he is doing, but she doesn't know. She's like, you could do more for this city. You know, it's like, dude, he's out there doing everything.
The Lord's work right now.
But it's things like that to just let you know, like, this guy is a rare being to them, you know, and I think it's meant to make you feel like, do they suspect? Because it's like, what does Bruce Wayne do that we never see him?
Right.
So maybe
it's not really like anybody else, but like Gordon is just very intelligent and very good at what he does.
Yes, which is why he is the perfect sidekick for Batman.
Yes, absolutely.
Honestly, other than he does things by the book and Batman doesn't, and he uses a gun.
Yeah. Well, it helps that Robert and Jeffrey both have a very, great chemistry on camera. Like they work very well together, and then just adding them in this film with these characters specifically is just a great casting. Yeah, no, I agree. So the last thing I wanted to talk about is, and I don't mean to skim over Catwoman. I like her in this movie. I'm indifferent on her just as a character in general. Right. She's always the same. And it's because there's not really that much you can do with her. Like, she's always trying to get out of the city. She's always trying to start a new life. Yeah. She's always trying to escape things that she can't really escape. And she's always on the verge of being a bad guy herself. Right. And she's conflicted. And so it's just the same. Like, there's not really much you can do with it. If you try to change it, you'd piss people off. So it's like, whatever. Zoe Kravitz does a great job in this film, though. So she does. I don't mean to not talk about her, but the Penguin, dude, he is the all-star of this movie. Yes. Like, this watch through, and I don't know if watching the first episode of the show has really made me appreciate what he's doing. But for one, even though he is a background villain in the movie, he has more screen time than the Riddler. Yes. Okay. So there's that. And he's just so good, man. Yes. Like, the Riddler is amazing. Yeah. I love the way he talks. And it's just like almost like he's embodied by all these different versions of himself trying to talk at the same time. And when he gets angry and yells, I don't know, the Riddler is great. Yeah. But the Penguin is something special. Like, I can't even pin it. The makeup is unreal. That you can take Colin Farrell and turn him into that. Wow. But just the way he talks, the way he moves, he's got that limp because he's got that club foot. Such a penguin. I believe that is a real person just being filmed. And not just because of the makeup. The voice, the way he moves, it just feels like a real person. It does. And it's just incredible, man. And I want more of it. I'm glad we got a TV series of him. I love after the car chase scene, even before that, I've glossed over that a lot in my watch throughs, but when he comes out and he's just firing the machine gun, like, you think you could take it from me? It's just, he's just a gangster, you know, he's got that old school mobster feel to him. I love it. I love it, man. He just feels like the guy, even though he's not the guy yet at all. He's Falcone's right-hand man. Right. But after the car chase scene, when him and Batman and Gordon have him tied up, and they're like,
who is El Rada La Rada or whatever. La El Rada. What is it? La El Rada.
Rada.
I can't remember what it is. Basically, the rat with wings is what it translates to. El Rada, Delata. I can't remember. Anyways, just the way he's talking to them is fucking hilarious.
Rada Alada.
Yeah, I was saying because it's an actual website. Like we can go. That's what I love. Batman figures out it stands for URL, and it in real life it's URL, and it gets updated here and there.
Yeah,
and it's a cool little thing they're doing. But anyways, just the way he talks to them and the mannerisms he has, I'm like, dude, this is a freaking awesome villain.
He really is.
Because he's helpless, and he's just like, "What are you doing? Come on, you gonna leave me tied up like this?" And he's like waddling and shit. Like, but it's still like he's just the bad guy, in my opinion. Like he is like, I don't know.
Well, he's
got this big personality.
Yeah, and he's so smart. Like the way he is playing everybody constantly. Like he is so like just so intelligent. And in the TV show is real, like just in that first episode is really playing on his intelligence. And he's always like 3 steps ahead when you don't realize it until it's too late.
Yeah, and that's something I think maybe watching that has made me appreciate more because, I watched the episode and then I watched this movie yesterday.
Yeah.
Because the first time I watched this movie, I thought, dude, the Penguin's fucking great. Yeah. But he was kind of the comic relief. Take it easy, sweetheart. All that shit. Yeah. And he's dealing drugs and he just kind of seems like a sleaze bag, but whatever. But the show really shows that he can be a threat.
Yes.
I mean,
he's playing the right-hand man game and the victim, in a sense, like the victim.
Mm-hmm.
But he's doing it in a what's that word? He's doing it to trick everybody so he can end up on top. And even at the end of the Batman, where Falcone's like, "Oh, so you're the big man now. You're in charge." And he's like, "Maybe I am."
Yeah.
But then you have the TV show and he's not. Like he wants to be.
Well, that's what's really cool about the show.
Towards it.
The show, for one, shows that he is the ultimate snake.
Yes. Oh my God, yes.
Like he will play both sides. He'll butter up whatever side he thinks he needs to in the moment to get to where he wants to be, which is at the top, inevitably.
Yeah.
And
he will be.
Sorry, 1 second.
There you go.
Theo. Dude, stop. God. He's still freaking biting at himself. We think we're taking the vet. I think he's got a skin allergy or something. But he keeps running back here to bite at himself. I'm like, dude, I'm going to yell at you. Anyways. But we get Sophia Falcone.
Yeah.
Which she is in the comics.
Mm-hmm.
And this version of her,
the Hangman or something. They call her the Hangman, I think.
Yeah. Because this Matt Reeves definitely is pulling a lot of inspiration for the overall story from the Long Halloween, which is heavily centered around the Falcone family. So getting to see these children of his in the show is pretty cool. Because they definitely look the part and everything. Well, there's some iterations of her where she's kind of hideous and overweight, but whatever. Either way, it's like she's doing a great job with this role.
Yeah.
She seems mentally unstable.
Yes. She's a ticking time bomb.
And you can tell there's history between her and Penguin from jump.
Yeah.
Like as soon as she walks in that room and he turns at the table, and I can't remember if that's when he says, but like they let you out or whatever, like letting you know,
he
like
immediately played bitch again.
Yeah, yeah. But so I like that, Falcone dies in the Batman.
Yeah.
But now it's like, you're not the man on top. He's got children.
Yeah.
Which he effectively takes one out in the first couple minutes of the show.
Dude, the way they went off, like they started off this series with a bang.
Oh yeah.
Like that was I watched like the kind of the behind the scenes of their ideas and their thought process through it. Like when they were explaining that, I was like, oh my god, that was amazing way to start this series off.
Well, I thought that they were gonna have him longer. Like I didn't expect he would just shoot him right off jump.
Same.
I thought he was gonna be like the whole episode was gonna be like Penguin doesn't want this guy taking the throne, but it's rightfully his, and he's trying to be the right hand man.
Yeah.
But I mean, shit, dude, they're just sitting there, and he just shoots him in the head. Done. So I was surprised from jump because I thought I could predict the episode.
Yeah.
It's like no, the episode's not him like shadowing this guy. The whole episode is he killed him sporadically. Didn't really have a plan for what he was going to do with the body.
Yeah.
Enlists the help of this guy that's trying to jack his wheels off his car. Basically blackmails him into working for him, which shows his manipulative side, the power he has. He's basically making this guy work for him in fear.
Yeah.
Not because they're buddies, not because he owes them. It's just, I'll kill you. I'll fucking find you and I'll kill you. You gotta work for me. That's it. But yeah, the whole episode turned into this whole like, I killed this guy. Here's the repercussions.
Yeah.
His sister wants to know where the fuck he was at. His sister knew that he had this whole scheme of, you know, doing this and that. So he knew that, or she knew that he was going to be at the Iceberg Lounge.
Right.
So she's like, Penguin probably saw him. It's brilliant. It's great. The first episode is great. Like
when she starts calling him out on stuff and the way he's able to think of excuse, like the whole new drug thing, and she's like, that was him and me. How did you know about it?
Yeah, exactly.
You said you didn't talk to him, and he had to think on the fly, like, oh shit. And then he's like, well, he didn't tell me you were involved. I thought it was just a him and I thing and this and that. And it really shows like how quick he's able to spin things.
Yeah.
To make it make sense.
Yeah. And I will say I was kind of excited for at least an episode or two of Alberto Falcone running things, because he just seemed like a wild card. Like he's all about, oh, I'm sober now and this and that. And Penguin's like, you can't have a drink? And then the next thing we see, he's doing fucking drops. He's just back on drugs. I was like, I want this guy running things.
Yes.
And I want Penguin pissed off that he has to work for him. But he effectively took care of that. So R.I.P. Alberto Falcone. Now we got Sophia. And I feel like this whole, like the whole season will be like Penguin versus her.
Yeah. She's going to be a problem for him this entire time. And
the cool thing is we get to see the other crime family, the Maroney side of things, because he goes to see him in prison. And I read something interesting, Dima. This is a big spoiler for anyone listening or watching. Apparently, I'm assuming he's at Arkham. Maybe it's Blackgate, but the prison is actually corrupt.
Really?
And we're going to find out. I think it was either Colin Farrell or Matt Reeves that was talking about this. Either that or it was a stunt double they got interviewed and they weren't supposed to talk about it. But either way, I like the idea of this. Maroney doesn't seem like he's not happy in jail, right? He kind of like when they sit down, they have the room.
Yeah.
Police are in the corner, like they're bitches. They're not really, and it kind of feels like if he wanted to kill the Penguin in there, it would happen.
Yeah.
Well, I read that whoever it was that got interviewed said, you know, the whole idea there is that the prison is being ran by Maroney. It's kind of similar to Kingpin when he gets locked up in Daredevil. And I'm like, dude, that's badass.
I like that a lot.
Because that means he is still in a power position that the Penguin thinks he's not in. So, like, the Penguin thinks he has some leverage, like, hey, I'm on the outside. I can do this for you. I can make moves, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, he doesn't need you.
No.
So that's cool. That could make things interesting if it is true. And I was thinking about what we see in the episode. I'm like, I can believe that.
Yeah. No, it makes sense.
I can 100%. Believe that. And it would be cool if it is Arkham. Is it Arkham? Do they clearly
I don't think they specified. I don't think it's Arkham, though.
I'll say, because if it was,
like if he's able to run it, I feel like it's going to be Blackgate.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, if it was Arkham, it'd be cool to see how that implicates like the Riddler situation or the Joker. Like, anyone else who's already locked up.
I mean, it might be. It didn't look like it would be Arkham though.
Yeah.
The way, like, with watching Joker and Riddler in Arkham, and I know it was like the visiting section of the prison, but it didn't really seem like it would be the same to me.
I agree. I think they have totally different feels.
Yeah,
in general. Agree. And that's the cool thing about this episode is I feel like, whoever filmed it, I didn't look this up, but the direction, style, and everything is definitely respecting that this is a part of Matt Reeves' Batman. So anything that needs to look similar to that does.
Yes.
And I love that because I talked about this on Saturday's episode. I hate when a show is supposed to be canon with a greater connected universe, but it just feels totally different. It doesn't even, like, my example on Saturday's show was She-Hulk and Captain America Winter Soldier are supposed to be in the same universe. Just think about that. She's twerking with Megan Thee Stallion, and you've got the Winter Soldier throwing the fucking shield back at Captain America and fucking shooting at him and shit. And it's dark and it's gritty. I'm just like, come on. Come on.
Joke.
Now, some of the shows have that same kind of tone that I can believe, like, okay, yeah, that's probably part of the same universe. But not always. And I need that consistency. If you're going to tell me this is a connected universe, I want it to all be the same.
Right.
And that's one thing I will say I'm a little nervous about with the DCU. Mm-hmm. James Gunn is saying, as a director, he respects the creative vision of directors. So he said, although all of the movies in the DCU will be connected, they will all have their own feel and style that is the director's take.
And I'm like, agree with that to a certain degree.
Yeah, but I also like when they're like, you can tell Wonder Woman, Patty Jenkins was trying to connect that with BVS.
Yeah.
In the same world. It had that same tone, grittiness. She almost directed it in some ways similar to how Zack Snyder directed BVS. And that was cool. I was like, okay, we're building on something now. Yeah. And I think from the first trailer of the Suicide Squad, David Ayer was doing the same thing. Like, you can tell him and Zack Snyder were talking. They were trying to keep it all in the same kind of feel and tone and style. So, yeah, you can have your own vision and shit, but you got to have it feel like it's in the same world.
I really hope that's
got me nervous. I'm hoping.
Yeah.
I'm hoping.
Because I agree. I think the director should be able to do whatever they want as long as it, like you said, it's got that same feel of the world that they're trying to build with. That's what makes it in the same world to like regular viewers, but even me as well. Like I can comfortably say us. Like I feel like it is more believable that's the same world when it has the same exact feel as the bigger picture.
Yeah. So. I have a question for you about the show.
Okay.
And it's really stupid, but I thought about it after watching the Batman. Does the Penguin just have like an abundance of that car, or did he get his car completely rebuilt? Because, dude, in the car chase, it not only gets rammed, it goes. I don't even know how the Penguin survived that, but needless to say, it is upside down. It is dismantled. It is totaled, like completely. And then first episode, they're showing off like, hey, the car's okay. Fine. But I'm like, the Batman took place in a couple of days. So I'm like, how does the car already, like, because this picks up right after the Batman. Literally, you can watch the Batman. It goes right into the Penguin series. Matt Reeves.
Well, they're still showing the news of like the water and the.
Well, yeah, and you're seeing like the effects on the city and stuff too. So it's like, is there just a garage with these purple? I don't know what kind of car it is, but like a purple Penguin vehicle, like plum. Sorry.
No, that's a very valid point because it seems like
it's me being nitpicky, but just.
No, I mean, it makes sense though. Like, there's no reason why that car should be in the condition it's in after the highway.
Well, think about this. I think it's a missed opportunity. Oh yeah, my car's in the shop, and then you see him get in this nice car.
Yeah,
he goes to meet up with the Falcone side of things when he gets called to the mansion.
Yeah,
Sophia's there. She follows him out. She says, "Oh, is that your car?" Like she did to him.
Yeah.
And he said, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh, looks just like my father's." Because the Penguin took Falcone's car after he let him. Well, he's gonna shoot him at first, but he watched him die, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm the man now." Like, can you imagine how much juicier that would have made this first episode? But instead, it's just like, "Oh, you've got this ridiculous looking car, and I'm going to comment on it." But if it had been her father's car, yeah. So that was something I was thinking about. I was like, that was a missed opportunity
because it could have shown her like he's trying to take over.
Yeah, exactly.
So he probably did kill my brother on top of that. Like,
yeah. It's a small thing, but I was just like, sometimes I'm like, how would I have done this? And that was one of those moments.
Yeah, no, I want that now.
For one, that's a missed opportunity, but two, you would have had a golden moment for the Penguin to be like, "Yeah, my car, freaking a little comedic moment." Because you don't get a lot of that in this episode. Like,
he's very serious the entire time.
Yeah, and the only time he even like really, he does like a fake smile, but the end of the episode, when he's in that chair butt ass naked and they're trying to interrogate him,
and he has that
the smile he gets because he knows things are happening the way that he wanted them to, and I'm just
I win.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking about it now. I can't wait to watch this episode. Like, I want to watch it tonight, but I can't stay awake that late. So
I'm not.
I'm an old person.
I don't think I'll be able to watch this till.
Oh, dude, that's gonna kill me.
Monday.
Oof.
Maybe I'm gonna try to watch it possibly tomorrow. I might be able to watch it Friday. I might get lucky.
Okay.
I know I won't be able to tomorrow.
Needless to say, we are definitely big fans of the series already.
Yes.
It's only one episode in. And I can't. Here's something interesting. It's one of two of the first official releases of James Gunn's DC Studios.
The TV show is?
Yeah, because at the end it shows that new DC Studios logo with Superman and the chain.
I didn't even catch that.
Yeah.
I was too amazed by the episode in itself.
I did some research, and that's actually something James Gunn talked about openly. He said that Super/Man, the documentary about Christopher Reeves, and the Penguin are the first two releases of DC, like the new DC Studios.
I thought Matt Reeves' world was extended, though.
It's Elseworlds, but Elseworlds falls under the blanket of DC Studios still. So, like, Matt Reeves.
Oh, okay.
And that's why James Gunn was at the premiere of The Penguin and Peter Safran.
Okay,
because it's a DC Studios production.
Well, which makes sense why they're able to use.
It's not like it's not connected with their DCU.
Okay, yeah.
But like DC Studios is like MCU, like
they still own it,
or Marvel Studios, because Marvel Studios can be over a Spider-Man movie, but the Spider-Man movie is not connected to.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's the same kind of thing.
Yep.
But I just thought that was cool to see that logo and like, all right, we're officially in the DC Studios era. Like, it's a thing.
Check that out again.
It's a thing
because I missed that. So that's really cool.
And it's apparently really hard to find theaters showing that documentary, but I want to watch that. It looks really good about Christopher Reeves, Superman, how he got injured off the horse and he's paralyzed. Yeah, like
I wonder which. Eminem made a jab at that in his most recent album he dropped.
Oh my gosh!
Again, sorry.
He's just, I don't know. He's trying to be relevant.
Yeah, but back on topic.
Stop.
But
oh gosh,
I wonder if Max is going to end up releasing that.
Oh, I'm sure eventually. But yeah, I guess there's like
very interesting
limited. Maybe they weren't expecting a lot of box office for. I don't know, but.
Kind of surprised.
But I want to go ahead and wrap this up.
Yeah.
Because we have gone over 10 minutes already. So we're good at going over a little bit.
We are.
But I do want to say that I am very excited for the rest of the Penguin show. And God, dude, my dog is just being a fucking dick right now. Are you done? Like, here, I'm going to show you what I'm dealing with right now, just so you can understand the ridiculousness of the situation. He's got 2 fucking cones on. That's how bad it's gotten.
Holy shit.
Yeah, look at that. He's got like a little pillow one, and he's got this big one. Look at him.
Yeah.
And he extends his little paw nut out, and he hits my camera.
It's like, yeah, fuck this camera.
Yeah, but anyways, really excited for the rest of the Penguin series.
Yes.
And even though the Batman is only one movie, there will eventually be 3. So this counts as a franchise because we are getting a trilogy. We're getting more TV series. Can't wait for all of it. And especially the Penguin. I'm all about the Penguin right now.
Can't wait.
And then the Batman Part 2 starts filming early next year. Cannot freaking wait. Can't wait to at least get a little bit of crumbs of what's going to be happening in that movie. We know Christmas, New Year's time period. So we're going to get a wintry Gotham.
Yep.
We know there will be an upgraded Batsuit. He hinted at that a couple years ago that there's going to be an evolution. Like he's out there learning, his suit will adapt like to what he's experienced out in Gotham. So like, for example, I'm sure the gliding thing will be a whole new dynamic.
A lot better than what it is.
Because right now he sacrifices his cape. Like his cape essentially is thick because it inflates with air because his cape is that flight suit.
Yeah.
And then he's got attachments on his arms and legs to like, it's cool, but it's a one-time use thing.
Yeah.
And then he's on the street and it's like, well, now I'm just a guy in a armored suit and I got to run somewhere.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we'll probably get like
mistakes.
A more versatile grappling hook.
Yeah.
Because we only see it in Gotham PD when he, which is badass, but
yeah, that was a great scene.
The whole Gotham PD scene is. Sorry, we're gonna get back into the Batman. All right. Anyways, we're gonna wrap this up. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully, you've enjoyed our all over the place conversation about Matt Reeves, the Batman, and the Penguin episode 1. Yeah. We're going to watch the second episode and the rest of the season. We'll probably talk about the show after it's done, I'd say.
Yeah.
So you guys will have to wait a little bit, but we're going to get back into the Lord of the Rings realm because I think next week we are doing an episode where we recap on all 3 movies and we talk more about things we didn't have the time to talk about to begin with. Matt's idea, great idea. And then after that, we're going to jump into the Hobbit movies. So we're going to be diving into this freaking Lord of the Rings, man. We're taking a deep dive. Now, I will say we're also going to take a little break because there are some other movies I want to tackle that are part of franchises. But
High School Musical. Kidding. Absolutely kidding.
You can do that on your own time, Diva. Well, no, but we have our live stream for Married to Crow, which
very excited.
Can't wait for that. And so anyways.
2 days after we see the Joker.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Dimitri and myself and Cody and Jordan, we're all 4 going to see it. Cody can't wait.
On that calendar event really quick.
Well, I messaged him about it. That's why it was taking me so long to make that event because I was like, I'm pretty sure Cody said he saw the Joker and he liked it. So I was like, hey, we're going to see this. You want to see the sequel? And he was like, oh, yeah, I'm down. Let me check. And then I kept having to bug him because I guess he was forgetting to check.
Sounds about right.
Because yesterday I said, any update? I want to get these tickets before it's sold out. And he was like, what was the date again? What time? I'm like, oh, my gosh. So then I just made the event because he still didn't answer me. And then the event is how he let me know.
That's crazy.
And then he sent me the money for the ticket today. I'm like, okay, he is definitely going now.
Yep.
So it's always a venture with that guy. But anyways,
things coming. Very excited.
And I'm sure we're going to be jumping on here to talk about the Joker. We'll do a whole spoiler discussion. So
100%.
Hopefully we like it and it's not like our last venture.
Trash. It looks good. I have very high hopes for this.
If it's anything like Bo is Afraid, I might never go to the movies again.
Yeah, no, I'm done. I check out.
That was the most disappointing group trip to the movies ever. Anyways, all right, guys, we're rambling. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you tune in for Saturday's episode. Got a lot of things going over and returning my half price fines series because I had to skip it this past week. So look forward to that. We'll catch you guys next week. And I'm awkwardly going to have to wait for the stream then.
30 seconds.